Well, this was an episode of Plot Twists. Welcome to Tay Time. I'm Taylor. And this is the recap for Sherlock, Season 4, Episode 2, The Lying Detective, aka Plot Twist, Plot Twist, Plot Twist. Shall we begin? Okay, I'm gonna start this episode off by saying this is not your typical Moffat episode. Like, yeah, there was a little bit of death, but like, what? Doctor Who doesn't have this many plot twists sometimes when Moffat writes. What was this episode? Although Toby Jones, I liked it. I liked your character. Creeped me out more than Magnuson. We'll say that. So, let's get started, shall we? So, like, John went to this new therapist, and I'm just gonna say something. I did see part of this next twist coming that we're gonna discuss, but I'm not gonna leave that right now. I have to use the Entertainment Weekly recap on this one, because usually I'm good at remembering stuff, but like, all the plot twists. Also, Mrs. Hudson, I love you. So, basically, like, John sends baby Rosie to friends. Does that even include Molly? I can understand Mrs. Hudson, but like, Molly should be watching her. But let's be real, John, watch your kid. And Ghost Mary, I like Ghost Mary. Ghost Mary's fun. I knew we were gonna see more of Amanda. Spending a lot of time with friends, and John, he's talking to her, and he tells the therapist, no one's heard from Sherlock. Like, that's weird. So then, all of a sudden, like, this fancy schmancy Aston Martin, like, pulls up in this weird car chase outside the door, and because, like, the therapist is like, welp, he, blah, 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 oh, I'd like to meet him. And then after the new opening title, it cuts to, a glimpse of Culverton Smith, again, Toby Jones, oh my god, and he has like 6 people, including his daughter, using this drug that alters their memory, and like, the daughter's writing stuff down, and like, blood gets on some of it, and blah, 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 blah. So, probably like, the creepiest monologue ever. Toby Jones needs an Emmy. That's all I'm gonna say. And then, like, she knows that he wanted to kill someone, but she can't figure anything else out. And that was 3 years ago. So then, Faith, which is the daughter's name, visits Sherlock. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Because, spoilers. I had an inkling it was the therapist, because they looked alike. But, I will say this, they, like, go out for a night on the town after he finds out that she's, like, trying to commit suicide, and, like, all that jazz, and he basically tells Moffat to turn off by walking back and forth through random streets. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. So, okay, so then, I've known people who've committed suicide. I know people who have been addicts. This next scene shook me. Like in self-harm too, like, oh my god, the whole scene by the Thames. Yeah, that's the Thames, right? Yeah, the Thames. Was insane. Oh my god, and like all those drug things, he's on drugs, and then we saw Billy again, because Billy's now with him with all the drugs and stuff. And they keep referencing this like mysterious third home sibling, aka Sharon Ford. Did we ever figure that out? Ford. So obviously, real time, or 3 weeks later, as I should say, which is, so basically, sorry, I had to like reread the recap. Basically, like, Culverton's this like big entrepreneur who like gives you things, and he's a serial killer. Toby Jones, man. So, like, why does he want to kill? So after the 3 weeks, you find out in the first plot twist of the night is Mrs. Hudson's Aston Martin. I hope as if I didn't love her enough already, okay? Like, that is a big deal. Una Stubbs deserves an Emmy for this episode. This episode is very well acted by the supporting cast. I will give them that. So, she's, like, running around, and, like, that whole freaking sequence where it's describing how she got him in the handcuffs in the back trunk. Oh my god. Oh my god. There's a reason why this recap might be a little short, and it's literally just me saying, oh my god, Mrs. Hudson. So then, basically, like, he was quoting Shakespeare and shooting the wall again, and then Mrs. Hudson, like, Sherlock needs a doctor to examine him, and, like, Sherlock apparently found out the therapist's address, like, 2 weeks ago, and it's, like, all crazy, and he gets medically examined by Molly, and it's very crazy, and then Culverton. The most despicable thing Sherlock's ever encountered. Does Moriarty and Magnuson ring a bell? Yes, no, maybe so. He's a despicable person, Smith, but it's just crazy. So then, like, Culverton's like, serial killer, because I'm making a commercial where I'm eating cereal, and I'm like, okay. So, like, he's, like, inviting John and Sherlock all these places, and they wind up in a children's hospital, like, talking about all this stuff, and, like, Sherlock, of course, is, like, smitten with this, like, one girl and everything, and it's all crazy, and it's like, okay, and then Smith is like, what about a serial killer? And goes off on this whole, very brilliantly acted by Toby Jones monologue about the Queen, and like, well, if the Queen told me this, and I was like, this is weird and creepy. You are creepy, Culverton Smith, you are creepy. So then, Ghost Mary keeps coming back. I like Ghost Mary. You know who Ghost Mary reminds me of? And, like, it took me a while to figure this out. Ghost Mary is like a mix of when, like, Sue Sylvester on Glee would be, like, snarky, and River Song. And I love it. Amanda did a great job. So then, like, he's talking about H.H. Holmes, which is, I don't even know. I'm from America, and I don't even know this. Like, about, like, the hotel, and he's a serial killer in a hotel, hospital. Clever Moffat, very clever. So then, Culverton, like, apparently Sherlock, when they hugged, he took his phone and texted Faith. He was like, well, you gotta come down here. Not Faith. I mean, yes, both the ladies had a cane, but not Faith. And, like, Sherlock goes crazy, takes out his scalpel. John ends up beating the crap out of him. Poor Lestrade is so done. He's so done listening to all this crap. And then he ends up getting treated in the hospital. Culverton Smith. And so after that, again, poor Lestrade. Turns out, Watson gets a call from Mycroft. Comes to the apartment. Watson figures out there's a third Holmes sibling. Mrs. Hudson's like, huh? Mrs. Hudson then tells everybody, well, no, hold on. They find the Miss Me DVD from Mary. Of course, everybody's watching, and John's like, and then, of course, Mrs. Hudson's like, you don't have to watch. He's like, no, I want to. And she's like, you will have to leave. This is my friend. Blah, 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 blah. Tells Mycroft, get out of my house, you reptile. And I was like, Mrs. Hudson, for the win. I love you, Mrs. Hudson. You are the MVP of this episode. Hope you enjoyed my jam right there. So anyway, turns out that go to hell Sherlock was Mary being like, go to hell and back so that he could save you. The only way to save John Watson is he needs to save you. So he ends up saving Sherlock, but Sherlock didn't need saving because he was on saline and acting, and he also had another hidden thing. And of course Cullerton's like, I like confessing, blah blah blah. So anyway, Lestrade, again, done. Poor man. Because now he's getting all this stuff, and then they go back to the apartment, and they're like talking and all this stuff, and all of a sudden, you hear the infamous Irene Adler text notification noise. Plot twist number 2. Irene is definitely alive. She's alive. She's alive. She's alive. Where's Laura Pulver? She's alive. She's alive. She's alive. And of course, John is like, you need to be after her. Blah, blah, blah. And of course, Mary's like, tell Sherlock to put on the Deerstalker. Tell Sherlock to... Again, goes Mary. But, he admits to cheating on her, even though it was just texting. It wasn't full cheating, which, still cheating. And then he breaks down, which allows Sherlock to hug him in one of the saddest moments ever. So then comes plot twist number 3, which also has 3A and 3B. So John goes back to the therapist, and of course, oh yeah, by the way, Sherlock put it back on the Deerstalker, missed that. So he goes back to the excuse me, I just burped, to the therapist, and it gets really weird, and like, the therapist is like, did you ever get the answer about the third home, like, sibling? Like, is it Tom Hiddleston? No, JK, it's not Tom Hiddleston. I wish. So, first plot twist of the night. It was her that was the face that saw Sherlock, which is, of course, the one that we all saw coming. We were like, oh, I knew it. I knew it. Oh, my God. Okay. So then comes plot twist 3A. She pulls her hair back, and there's a plastic flower. Turns out, she's also Elizabeth, aka the one John cheated on Mary with. And that's when my inner Admiral Akbar went, I knew it was a trap, cause it's a trap. I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, so the trap happened, and then she's like popping out contacts. She has that thing, I know like Mila Kunis has it, where like one eye colors one thing and one eye colors another thing, unless she didn't take out another contact. She's like, well, my name is Euros. And John's like, what the fuck does that mean? And she's like, East Wind? She's like, but my parents loved weird names like Sherlock and Mycroft. And at this point, Sherlock finds the paper and it says, Miss Me. And I'm sorry, would Tim and Wanda have named... Well, not Tim and Wanda, but would they have named the kids that? Like, I don't know what the Holmes parents were thinking when they named these kids. So it turns out they had a sister, and it wasn't Moriarty this season. And, oh my God, she shoots John. Well, she shoots a gun. We don't know if she shoots a gun. So, they have a sister, and Mycroft, who, by the way, had an appointment with her at 2 p.m. and decided, oh, I got hit on, let me take the business card. Yeah, your fault. So now I'm like, oh my God. And then next week's episode not only starts earlier, but it's called The Final Problem. And I'm like, no, you need at least one wrap-up episode, please and thank you. So I can't. All these plot twists. Mrs. Hudson, I love you. Let's try. I know you're done. I'm sorry. But this is going to be my Sherlock recap for the week, because I just can't anymore. Oh my God, I can't even talk about it anymore. It was such a great episode. Thank you, Stephen Moffat. So, this is Taylor for Tay Time. See you next time.